Go! We are live on a very dark and crappy and pouring rain in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, March 22nd, year of our Lord 2023. Hat tip to my boy Josh Pate for the idea and the steal of date. I am in Hamilton. I am Jeff. Where are you?
I'm Ryzak, North Carolina.
North Carolina, Ryzak.
Hey, we've got a storm coming in today too. That's pretty weird.
I think it's our storm.
Oh yeah, must be a pretty big band because they're saying that we could have some tornado warnings and stuff. So,
ooh, yeah, we could get those maybe. But yeah, it's I was just outside before the show.
It's Happy Earth Day, Jeff. I know it's an important day to you. You celebrate it in your household.
Is that today?
It is today. Happy Earth Day.
We should have put that in. Did you hear about? Because apparently I didn't hear about it. And I also found out. I also found out several hours later after that it was Earth Hour. But I found out 2 hours after the fact. That's like, oh, it was Earth Hour. A couple hours
ago.
It's
like going out for the solar eclipse the next day.
Yeah, I went up the next morning. What was that eclipse?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
How's your busy week, sir?
Good, man. Good. We were I was telling you earlier, it's all sports all the time around this house right now. So my daughter's soccer team is currently 11-0-2.
Nice.
They are they're in first place in their conference, and depending on who you talk to, they're either ranked second or fourth in the state. So either way, they're having a really good season. And then my son's wrapping up lacrosse next week. But
don't talk to those people who say they're in fourth. Talk to
them. His high school is putting together an ice hockey club team, and so he's trying to get some ice hockey going for the high school because they don't recognize it as a high school sport in North Carolina. So pretty cool. But yeah, just busy, man. Just busy. So here, there, and everywhere. You got one that can drive and you got one that can't. So the one that can't, you got to get everywhere because the JV team does not do buses from the school. So the kids have to be dropped off unless they can find a ride with somebody else. But the kids on their team that can drive are new drivers. And if you remember being a new driver, or you remember what high school boys are like as new drivers, I'm not putting my son in the car with them. You got to be out of your mind. So anyway, yeah, that's it. That's it. And I'm flying my drone every chance that I can get. I freaking love this thing. If you are at all interested in drones, I suggest it because it is so much fun. I'll have more about that another day.
Okay. Excellent.
But what have you been up to this week outside of your normal streams?
My friends, friends at Haven Dock made a new game. It's kind of a builder game, kind of like your Sons of the Forest, except you're on an island and you're in a dock. You have to build docks. You have to build stuff. I was playing that. I might be playing more of that today. It's really fun. It's really fun. I've also discovered that I have zero organization. I have shit all over the place. I did eventually move my two bird feeders beside each other, so I wasn't running back and forth collecting crap from my bird feeder that I need for something else. I put them beside each other, and then I built. Yeah, so I got a little bit more organizing to my dock, and I got my first settler. Bit of an attitude on him. He comes over. He goes, "No, you don't have a house." Well, when you get a house, I'll come here and settle. I was like, "Well, what a dick, man! You're a dick."
Wow.
Even in my chat when I was streaming it live, they're like, "He's a bit of a dick." Yeah, a little bit, but he seems to be a hard worker. So, and then for my friends at Activision, got the closed beta code for Crash Team Rumble. I've been playing that. I like my Rumble games. I was playing the multiverses. I was playing the other one, the other one there, the other verses.
But you said you're a big Crash Bandicoot fan too.
I like Crash Bandicoot. Yep, the Crash Bandicoot. Last night was a special doubleheader triple play where I played all three games. I played 3 different Crash games. 2 as part of retro, 2 a part of retro, and then my PlayStation disconnected from my thing, and I was going to reset it and accidentally hung up on the stream. So I had to restart the stream. So it's a bit of a bitch.
But it happens.
Game a lot more fun when you started. I started winning near the end, so it was a lot more fun when you're winning.
Yeah.
Than when you're constantly losing. But anyways, so that was that. And then I got more of that. I'm still making MLB 23, the show content. Got more to make today. Piss pouring rain. I think I'm just making content today.
Are you doing anything with the Dynasty team yet, or are you still doing your Road to the Show?
Still doing the Road to the Show. I keep meaning to get back to Dynasty. I have not been able to do that, so I need to.
There's some
I need
cool
to get
modes in
There
the
is.
Dynasty part. You go to the
There is.
single player games,
Yep.
and I don't know which one it was, what it was, but I found like some challenges that you can do, but you
There
can
are
like
challenges.
draft players to your teams.
Yeah.
So like after every challenge you do, you get an opportunity to like draft one more player to fill your roster. It was kind of cool. I liked it. So
Every
I haven't played the show
every
in a
week,
long time.
every week they reset stuff. And I got to go back and I got to clip it from episode, I don't know, 22 or something. I made this great, when I was at shortstop, I made this great diving catch and I literally caught it, hit the ground and just flipped the ball with my glove to my second baseman for the double,
to get the double
play. Yeah. And it was just like, wow, a sports game with animations that work and that actually, contribute to the game and are actually, And there's a number of times where there's animations, stuff that happen. And it's like,
yes,
that's how a sports game is supposed to play. Wow.
And you and I were talking about the way that it looked and felt, this one compared to the last one. I feel like the 23 it plays much better than the 22 did. But I've even noticed the difference in animations they have from when you're doing your Road to the Show. Let's say you hit a home run in Road to Show. You can see your guy crack it and you have that look there. But when you're playing not in the Road to Show, the home run looks different. Like it follows the ball, or it gets like this real low angle of it looking up. Like there's multiple different, I guess, cameras that have been built into different parts of the game. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot in there. I mean, they've been making the show for a long time, right? But I definitely feel like 23. It looks really, really good. I've enjoyed playing it. It's one of those ones too that I can just run out. If I have 10 minutes, I can play a game. Like I can play a whole game with my Road to the Show guy inside 10 minutes, right? So it's pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah, I do. It takes me a little longer, especially when I'm pitching. When I'm I pitch and bat and field. So one episode will be me pitching, another episode will be the 4 games batting. I may be DH, I may be whatever, I may be shortstop, and then so I kind of alternate. Every episode is kind of different. I got my clock cleaned in the first inning, and my team never recovered. We lost 1-0 because I gave up one lousy home run in the first inning. When I settled down for the next 6 innings, but my team just could not get anything going, and I lost 1-0. This was like, oh, effing kidding me.
I think I'm going to be taking my son out to play some golf here. That's a la the golf hat today. I'm going to try to get him out playing some golf and see if I can get him into golf. And if so, I think I'm going to try to document the journey. Kind of like the Road to the Show-esque.
Yeah, there you go.
Road to Tiger.
But yeah, there's a lot of Star Wars comes out next week. Dead Island Dose came out. Everyone's playing Dead Island Dose. Every time I look around, I know Ray purchased it. Shout out to Mr. Sherrod. I know he purchased it and was playing it. He'll probably be streaming it. I would assume he's streaming it next week. He's got Wreckfest tonight. I don't know what he's streaming tomorrow and Monday, but I assume he'll be doing some Dead Island. But yeah, it looks like he's been playing that. Everybody was squawking about the Redfall and the lack of, only coming out at 30 FPS, whereas 3-4 years ago you were like, oh, this game is 30 FPS. All right, excellent. Now it's like, oh, it's only 30 FPS. So people are never
Was
happy.
it fun? Was it fun to play? Was it a good game? I haven't heard anybody say anything about it, whether it being a good game or not.
I don't know if it's out yet. I think people are just pre-bitching. And then everybody lost their blue check marks except LeBron. Except LeBron and Stephen King. And Stephen King's like, I never paid for this. I never gave my phone number. And Elon said, I paid for it for you. You're welcome. So he said apparently him, LeBron, and Shatner are the 3 that he's paying for. So I created a Twitter list last night of all of the blue checkmark people. So I can have it in a thing. So I see all the blue check marks. You guys want your blue check marks? All right, cool. You're gonna pay for it. At least I can do is throw you in a grid in my Twitter. So I have a list of all my blue checkmark people that I follow. For now, we'll see if people take it out, but
right,
it's all good. So that was the week. That's it. Thanks everyone for coming. That's it. That's all we got.
Yep, that was the show today. Hey, happy cheers to you. Oh,
good morning.
There's more.
There's more. Apparently.
Bruce said, "Did you guys watch the unrecord trailer?" I am gonna have to say I did not, Bruce. I want to know what it is.
Bruce posted it in my Discord. So if you go into my Discord and scroll up, it's in there. I did.
Okay.
I did. It looks interesting.
Okay.
It looks
I'm gonna have to take a look at this because I like interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got a couple of topics.
Pretty mind blowing, he says.
Mind blowing,
he says.
All right.
Yep.
I wanna check this out after the show.
All right.
We got to talk about the draft because that's a big topic in your world. You like the draft a lot. NHL, NBA playoff update. Where are we at after the first week? Are the Athletics possibly going to be going to Las Vegas? There's definitely some word on the street. SpaceX launch, Bruce. There you go. You started asking me about it last night, and I couldn't say a whole heck of a lot because it was it was on here today. But we want to talk about that SpaceX launch, and we got some Did You Hear About? I'm going to give you 5 guesses today. Woo! And how about we jump in, huh?
Yes. Don't forget, as always, this episode is sponsored by our friends at WonderShare. You want to make awesome videos like I do and Ryzak does. You want Filmora. Mm-hmm. It is easy to use, and they just added in, Chat GPT in it for making descriptions and shit. It's every time I open it up, it's like, there's a new update, and here's some new shit we added. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's amazing. All right.
WonderShare. All right. NFL draft time coming up this week. When's this kickoff? Thursday, Jeff?
Thursday. Round 1 is Thursday. Round 2 and 3 is Friday. And then the rest of the rounds 4 through 7 are on Saturday.
The draft is in
Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City,
Missouri.
Home of the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City.
One of the draft prospects, wide receiver, his name is Zay Flowers. He will go on Thursday. He will go Thursday. Where? Still be determined.
Well, I think that he is he's looking at Kansas City as probably a destination, yeah. So that'd be kind of cool.
He had done all his draft visits and he thought he was done, and then he got a call saying, "Hey, you want to come out to Kansas City and throw the ball with Mr. Mahomes?
Want to work out with Mahomes?"
He's like, "All right.
Why not? I got nothing better to do."
Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this now? Who's this now? So yeah. So I will be publishing on Thursday my official mock draft. I've done one unofficial way back in the day, and I've talked. It's been of a moving target. Everyone does 2 or 3 mocks. I usually do 2, one early and one late. Be interesting to see who I have going first.
That forfeited pick by the Dolphins there, that was due to the tampering, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
it was
the tampering punishment.
Yeah.
So there's only going to be 31 first-round picks this year.
Correct.
For the first time in, I don't know if it's ever or a long time, but
long time.
I can't remember the last. You talk about the first pick, Carolina Panthers. So obviously living in Carolina, I hear a lot about the Panthers. Everybody talks about the Panthers. I'm in Panthers country, right? So quarterback is the name of the game for them this year. They've been linked to C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback, but here for the past 2 weeks, it's all about Bryce Young, right? Bryce Young is going to be the number 1 pick. That's what everybody's saying. But you had Anthony Richardson, who had a great draft.
That's Ray's guy. That is Ray's
Anthony
guy.
Anthony Richardson.
He had a great combine. He really helped himself in the combine.
You got Will, and then you've got C.J. Stroud, right? I wanted to get them up there. So they don't do the Wonderlic anymore, right? It's now called the something. I can't think of the name of it right now.
I still call it the Wonderlic.
Well, those scores just came out the other day, right?
They did.
Bryce Young up near the top, Will up near the top, C.J. Stroud at the bottom of the first round projected quarterback. So, do you think that matters, Jeff? That's the question I wanted to ask you about with these 4 guys.
No, Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker will be the 5th one. There could be 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Hendon Hooker, if he hadn't gotten hurt, He probably would have been a Heisman finalist if he hadn't gotten. Some people said, despite him being hurt, should have been. I am one of them. Should have been a Heisman finalist. Yeah, Hendon Hooker. He could be the fifth one.
Where do you think Bijan Robinson will fall? I've seen the Falcons at 8.
Somebody is going to move up to try and get him. Who that is going to be, I don't know. It could be the Bills, could be the Cowboys. There is probably going to be some trades. Don't be surprised if Delvin Cook is on the move and the Vikings do something. DeAndre, something could happen with DeAndre on draft day.
There's still some trades that could be made with current players to set up things. And
those are two big ones. Those are two
trades happen during the draft all the time as well for picks. Somebody wants to move up to get somebody, or vice versa.
Correct.
I think that this second column of the draft is going to be pretty crucial this year, because once you get past these quarterbacks, once you get back the D-man, once you get past Bijan, it gets really interesting. You got a couple of cornerbacks in there that are really good. Where do these tight ends fall, right? Where's the Notre Dame tight end fall,
Correct.
So I think that middle column there, that 11 through 20, is going to be very, very interesting this year to see who makes those jumps. I think we saw a couple of jumps last year too.
And will the Jets be picking at 13? Are the Jets going to be picking at 13? Are they going to be giving up that? And is another green team going to be picking? We just don't know.
Could you imagine if they had 13 and 15? Couldn't they package that together and even get higher, get somebody else?
100%.
What if Green Bay got into the mix and got themselves Will Levis or Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud?
Anything is possible.
It is, because I don't know if Jordan Love is the man. Do you?
No, nobody does. He hasn't played enough. Nobody does. But the guys in the building know. But guys in the building have seen him every year, every day for 4 years, so they know what they got. My sports producer, Jets Loving, he's hoping he gets Peter Skronsky at 13. He thinks that's a bit of a stretch. He doesn't think he's going to be there, but he's hopeful that he's going to get Peter Skronsky. Or Aaron Rodgers at 13. He'd be happy with Aaron Rodgers at 13.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well,
but there's a lot that's going to happen after the next couple of days, right? There's 5 days now. Today, 4 days, 5 days, 5 days.
Whatever. Yeah, Thursday. Yeah. Whatever that is. Yeah. If you count today.
We'll count today.
So we're going to count today. All right. So so it's going to be very interesting to see who moves around, what happens to, Delvin Cook, DeAndre wants to move. There's other player who is going to move up, going from Jerry moving up to get Bijan. That's a Jerry move.
It is, but I don't know that he would do that with kind of handing the keys to Tony Pollard. Do you?
Tony's on the franchise tag, and so if they did Bijan, then they could let Tony go next year, and they're still paying as good a player if he's as good as Tony or better. Then they're paying him on the rookie deal. Right. Yeah. And so this way you don't have to lock Tony up. You just pay him this year on the franchise. You let him go next year.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of talk. A lot of that is fake,
we'll be able to update a lot of that next week, right?
Oh, we'll update it all next week. What was I going to say? Detroit might want to now move up for reasons we will discuss later. We call that foreshadowing. Folks, we call that foreshadowing. So there you go. Anyways, we will talk about this next Saturday. Back-to-back lead stories will be the NFL draft.
What could have been the lead story is that it's playoff time in two of the biggest sports in America and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs. And so after last night's games, this is how the NHL playoffs are looking. My Carolina Hurricanes suffered a historic loss last night, gave up 4 goals in a matter of 2 minutes to lose 5-1. They still lead the series 2-1, but we've got some good hockey being played right now. Jeff, I don't know how much you follow hockey or how much you know about the players and stuff. the Winnipeg Jets have a guy on their team named Kyle Connor. And if you don't know who Kyle Connor is, you should definitely get to know him, because for all the talk that McDavid gets, and rightfully so, McDavid he's the best player, hands down. Kyle Connor looks a lot like him when he plays. I mean, he is so quick, and I mean, he just goes forward with a full head of steam, right? So I'm really excited to watch that Winnipeg team and see what they can do, because I'm all about getting some more Kyle Connor, and then if I can get him against McDavid in that second round, I'll be happy. But McDavid and the Oilers are trailing the Kings now. They've had 2 overtime losses against them, so they need to get that figured out. Boston, best team in the league this year, lost last game to Florida, but came back, rebounded last night, take the 2-1 lead. And now what I'm going to set you up for is your Maple Leafs. What's going on, man?
Well,
you won the second game handily, right?
But the first game, and everybody was going, "This is the year, and then they got blown away 7-3 in the first game, and they're like, "Okay, so the same team as always." All right, well then they came back, so now it's just tepid optimism, because nobody just knows. They had home ice advantage. They blew that by losing the first game. You can't regain the home ice advantage once you've lost that first one at home. So,
having had to watch the Canes play the Lightning each of the last 20 years, not really. I'm joking, but seriously, the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky's just he's a brick wall. He's so hard to play against, but they have such depth and leadership depth on their team. When you see Stamkos, score some of these goals, when you see some of these older guys that get into the mix, you're so worried about Kucherov. You're so focused on things that these veterans step up, and they're a machine, but they're not the same machine that they have been the past couple of years. So I really think Toronto's got a good shot if they can, come out as aggressive as they did the last game.
Yeah, we'll have to
Should
see.
be interesting.
It may be another, game 7, loss.
Yeah. I love the first round of both playoff sets, because it's like there's always a game on, right? And your team, if you're rooting for your team, you only have to wait every other day to watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, they go every other day, even with travel, right? Mm-hmm. So this is fun as a fan to watch right now.
It's fun if you've got 4 televisions on your one wall.
That is true too. You're like a sports bar at home.
I don't know who does that, but
NBA playoffs. The Nuggets with Jokic are 3-0, up 3-0 over the Timberwolves, and then the 76ers with Embiid are up 3-0, and Embiid is most likely not going to play Game 4. So can the Nets get back in it? Everybody else is kind of splitting up here. I'm not sure. We briefly chatted about the Lakers Grizzlies. If you saw the chitty chat back and forth from Brooks, LeBron's like, dude, I'm just ready to play basketball. Let's go. And then
with his blue check
the Kings Warriors. Yeah, with blue check mark in hand. And then the series that is getting a lot of attention right now is the Kings and the Warriors. First off, because of the technical foul ejection on Draymond for stepping on Sabonis. And then I don't know if you saw the videos yesterday of the fans fighting outside of the stadium. The Kings fans were just like all ganging up on this Warriors fan. I mean, I had context and everything. I'm not trying to say anybody's at fault or who's right or who's not. But,
sure. Yeah.
It's getting kind of heated. They're talking a lot over there. I got more to talk about, with him later. But did you watch the Knicks game last night? And do you think that it's great to see Madison Square Garden celebrating in the playoffs?
I did not, because I did the doubleheader triple play last night, so I missed the game. Madison Square Garden's been kind of having a good year because they hosted some of the college basketball for the first time in
and the Rangers are playing playoffs right now too. So
MSG is having a good time right now. The building.
The Knicks dominated the Cavs last night. They held them to 79 points.
They did. I saw the scores. I didn't watch the game.
Amazing.
Because don't forget, one of those screens that you can't see is a sports ticker. So there is a sports ticker always going in behind me.
Yeah.
It's not always on, but when I'm during my streams, but it's there. Sports
More to
today.
come on this next week, but the playoff races are in. Well, I guess they're not races anymore.
I know
The playoff
Ray,
games are hot and heavy right now.
before our friend Ray was like, Warriors going to win. And then he was very quiet after their first 2 losses. So, well,
you got to have some confidence, but you also, got to know that sometimes what you say has implications on the universe.
And what are you doing? You're interested in being a coach? Raptors are looking for a new coach. You thinking you want to come to Toronto and coach the Raptors?
If you can get me an interview, I will definitely come.
All right, I'll call Masawi. I'll call Masawi.
Let him know. Let him know.
See if
you found a diamond in the rough, a great prospect.
Yeah, great coaching prospect. I think just throw him right in. Nick Nurse.
If nothing else, I'll just stand there and wear a suit.
Yeah, and
that's what most of them do anyway.
Nick Nurse went from first-year head coach winning a championship to now being unemployed. But it's a business, It
is.
It's a business, and
Nuggets for the win.
Nuggets for the win, says our boy Sanchez Gaming.
The Nuggets are playing really well right now. They got Jamal Murray back, and getting him in the flow. It's good. Good things in Denver.
Yeah. So, anyways, our Raptors are looking for a coach. It sounds like there's going to be an overhaul.
Yeah, let me know. I can get my resume for you.
Okay.
No biggie.
All right, cool.
All
right.
I lost in a championship game. I haven't won one.
Well, there you go. Bring us up. Come to Toronto. Come to Toronto and bring us another one.
There you go.
You can even stay with Rydigs. You can
nice.
Rydigs will put you up.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Him and Hannah.
What do we got here? The Las Vegas Athletics, Jeff. The word on the street is that the ownership group for the Oakland Athletics has purchased land in Las Vegas to build a stadium.
Yes.
Not cool, man. I don't understand how a team that has basically given their fan base a product of the lowest variety for years.
Yep.
But they can now take all this money and go build a stadium.
Well, before we get into that,
even repair the one that they have.
Before they get into that, the soccer team just signed a new deal to use the park or to build something right next to where they were playing, and now they're like, and then the A's are like, we're gonna leave, and they just signed a new deal to put something to play right next to them, and they're like, yeah, we don't care. Good, leave. We're committed to Oakland, unlike the rest of you.
So, you sent me this list here, right?
I did.
In the past 10 years, they've added the Aces, which are the WNBA team, the Raiders, the NFL team, the Desert Dogs. Is that double or triple A?
Double A or triple A. Excuse me.
Double A, triple A. The Golden Knights, triple A baseball for those that don't know that reference.
Yeah,
which is just under the major league level. That's the team you get called up for. The Golden Knights, which is a hockey team, and they won a Stanley Cup.
They did.
You had the Pro Bowl that was played there. You have the NFL draft that has been held there. You have an NCAA Final Four games that have been held there. Las Vegas was awarded a Formula One Grand Prix. It's going to be the Las Vegas Grand Prix. There was the college football playoff national championship game in Las Vegas. Now the Athletics are going. And one more thing that I mentioned to you that I didn't put on here is that gambling has also been legalized. So what is Las Vegas not getting right now, Jeff?
So here's my problem. I'm going the two of you.
Nice.
So here's my problem. 2014. A few people, including one Anthony J. Romo, wanted to have a fantasy football convention. I signed up. I was one of the founders of that I was one of the early people to sign up, gave me a whole bunch of cred, VIP passes, this, that, and the other. And this was in 2014. And then the NFL said, wait, what? You want to do what? Where? No. You want to have who? No. If you have NFL players there, they will be suspended and they won't be able to play. So it got canceled. Then they tried to do it again in 15. And the NFL said, fuck you. So then Tony ended up having the the NFCC, the National Fantasy Football Conference, NFFC conference, ended up being in Dallas. My son and I went, had a great time. I did. He did not. One, because it was Dallas in July. It was 100 and something degrees. And also we toured all of the Dallas Cowboy hot spots, including a tour of the stadium. Where I stumped the lady who has never been stumped before at the Dallas Cowboy facility. Because I asked her what are the 2 Canadians on the active roster, and she looked at me and she said that there's 2 Canadians on the active roster. I went, yep. Who are they? She had no idea. She got one of the 2. She did not get this. She did not get the second. Did not get the second. And then we also spent time in Dallas. We toured around. I don't know if you ever watched the show Fast and Loud with Gas Monkey Garage, Richard Rawlings, and that.
I think I watched a couple.
We went and toured that. We also, if you ever watched the episode, there's the lady who does the upholstering. We went and visited her shop. As soon as I walked in, she started yelling at me. My son thought it was hilarious because she's just like she is on the show. She's just like a bit part on the show, but it was hilarious. We had a lot of fun. So we ended up doing it, and then it turned into Sports Con, but unfortunately I didn't go, and then COVID and everything else like that. Right. But my point to all this is that the NFL said, no, there's gambling. Is my camera all effing up?
It's glitching.
Yeah. Let me switch cameras. Let me
camera 1, camera 2, camera 1.
Let's go to the other camera. All right, we'll go to this camera. The NFL said, well, that Vegas can't have players going to Vegas. There's effing gambling. You know what they're going to be like. And there's hookers and blah, blah, blah. No, Vegas. No, Tony. Now, was that because it was Vegas, or was it because Tony Romo wanted to have this conference? God only knows. That's my issue. And then all of a sudden, flash forward 10 years, now everybody wants to go to Vegas. There's industry conferences are going back. There is, I showed you that list of all the crap going on. Now the NFL has legalized gambling, but at the same time, they just suspended
in-game betting too, isn't it?
In-game, yes.
It's in-game betting, and I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. It's not just betting on games. It is in-game betting.
Correct.
You can bet on the outcome as the game's happening.
Correct.
How's that not shady?
Correct. And then they just suspended 5 players yesterday, some indefinitely, a couple for 6 games, including the star running back of Detroit. So going back to the first slide, I could see now Detroit may be in the mix for a Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
5. It was 5 players. It was 4 lines and it was 1 commander, right?
Yeah. So on one hand they're saying,
it's good for them. It's not good for you.
Yeah. And it's just like,
that's it. That's all that it is. And it's their motto. And that's what pisses everything that they do.
That's what pisses me off, because we couldn't do the conference in Vegas because there's gambling, and what are the players going to do? They're just going to come out and have fun and whatever. Now they're like, let's go and have the draft in Vegas. Let's have the Pro Bowl and bring everybody and their families, and let's bring teams there, and let's
Jeff, why? I guess professionally, I am paid to ask the question why. So when I think about something like this, I have to wonder, why is Las Vegas becoming the hotbed? Why? I mean, it's the desert. I've been to Las Vegas. There's nothing around it but fucking desert. Like it's just gambling. Hot and like
it's the gambling. It's the shows, right? If somebody said, we're going to go to Kansas City, put all those things in Kansas City. It's Kansas City. No offense to Kansas City. Tally Ducks.
Right.
No offense.
Hey, barbecue though. There'd be a lot of good barbecue.
and yeah, they did it in Nashville and sure, LA and has all the stars and
Yeah, but
and
you've
whatnot,
seen a
right?
city almost morph over the last decade into like this
Yes.
what seems like a major metropolitan area, right?
Yes.
Like you would think it's rivaling New York and Los Angeles at the rate that it's growing when it comes to all these sport things. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
crazy.
Pro
I don't
Resin has a
know.
work conference there every year, and it gets old quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I went there
Yeah.
when I was 14 years old.
I
Okay. I
went there
was
when I went
14.
there. I went there when I was 16. Stayed at the
Yeah.
circus.
Yeah. I didn't stay at I mean, I went with a youth group, and we went around and cleaned up like the homeless shelters and stuff. And then at nighttime, we went to the casinos because most of the casinos have an area that underage can go. Like Circus had the roller coaster and stuff underneath, right? So it was cool, but man, you walk down the street and there's just like the naked women pamphlets everywhere, and I mean it's just trash all over the ground. It's just grimy. It's like I don't know. It's a cool place to do, as an adult once maybe, and I want to take my wife there because she's never been, but it was not the place for a 14-year-old. I'll tell you that right now. So
So we will talk about this in August when we get closer to the F1 race. What they're building for the F1 race, the little
yeah.
F1 world they're building. I don't know if you've seen any of the concept art, if you've seen any of the pre-production, pre-construction, and during what they're building out there is pretty impressive. And they got the new stadium. Now they're going to build another new stadium, which is just down the street. Allegiant's here. The new stadium's going to be kind of here. The F1
and that's why I'm asking the why. That's why I'm asking the why, because why do you need to have all of these facilities? Because you're trying to make this a central mecca area for sports entertainment. You want to turn Vegas into this sports entertainment mecca to where you can come into Vegas at any point during the year and you can watch a sport while you gamble.
Yes. That's the
entertainment value.
That is
it's Disneyland for adults.
It's all about the gambling. My issue with kick.com and everybody running over to kick.com is not because it's, they're going to pay 90, it's because it's a gambling company. At the end of the day, they want you to gamble. They want you to buy
DraftKings and all that stuff.
Yeah. So that's my problem with everyone rushing over to stream on kick.com, because it's ultimately they want to push you to the gambling site. Right. Again, I have nothing issue with gambling. I've done gambling streams. I've had some sponsorship from some gambling companies. It's not that I'm anti-gambling, and I'm really good at gambling. I'm happy to take their money. I have never gone to a casino and not left with making money. I've always made money every time I've left a casino, because I know what games to play.
I usually do, but I play the penny slots, so I usually win
you don't play
45 cents.
You don't play slots. That's the
I play slots.
I went to the casino and I lost $20 playing the slots.
Hot penny.
No, you play the card games. You play
Zeus
or you play craps. As Crow can tell you, it has the best odds of beating the house. None of the other games.
Invasion from the planet Moolah. Those are the best
penny
slot games.
Penny slot ones. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyways, those are my issues. It dates back to 2013, 2014 when we couldn't do the fantasy football convention. Now, we did do that. We finally did get there. I have this picture of me standing next to Jesus because he was there, and I show this picture quite often. And people will say, Jesus was there? And I'm like, well, yeah. I said he had to get fantasy advice. He doesn't get I don't give fantasy advice to my son, so his dad doesn't give it to him. So he had to come learn, just like everybody else.
You know what you don't have on this list here is the NBA Summer League.
That's true. I do not.
Because I was just sitting here thinking, you've got, if this happens, now you got baseball, you've got football, right? Mm-hmm. You got hockey. So which one of the big four are you missing?
Yeah, Summer League's been there for a number of years. Yep.
So do they just continue to make that the home of the Summer League / use the Golden Knights Arena to host the All-Star game every year and make All-Star Weekend in Vegas, or do they look at relocating a team there?
They've got to do something. They're going to keep moving it around. So it may be in Toronto next year.
Yeah, it might be.
Might be in Toronto
Hey,
next year.
your ticker's about to be 2 stories off because I'm
Oh
going to
dear.
switch the slide here, and
Oh
we are
yeah.
going to talk. We're going to talk some SpaceX. We're going to talk some
Oh,
SpaceX
this.
Starship.
I watched this live.
I did not, so you're going to have to be strong on this one for me. But I know that it was delayed, right? It was a delayed launch because they had some issues that they found at the last minute,
Yeah,
and
they stopped at 8 seconds. They stopped at 8 seconds, and
mhm.
and then they were able to resume. Yep.
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 And so they launch, and
And
they
on
didn't
the
make it.
broadcast, they kept saying their goal is to clear the tower. That was their
Right.
goal. Anything else after that was bonus. And
Yeah.
so there was so much excitement when it actually cleared the tower,
And so,
right?
yeah, that you said that they were cheering, right?
They were. They were.
It exploded after 4 minutes, traveled 24 miles, and it had multiple engine failures. But this quote sticks out to me because they say, with a test like this, success comes from what we learn, and we learned a
Correct.
tremendous amount about the vehicle and ground systems today.
Mhm.
And I asked you last night some stuff, but more or less said this is a very expensive lesson, right? Like, we're not just talking, we took some toilet paper holders and wrapped some tape around it and tried to use a rubber band to launch it into the air here. This was a rocket.
Mhm.
Like, this was
Mhm.
built for a while. So, um, super expensive lesson learned
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Do
But
you
all
agree with their reaction to it as,
I do.
yeah,
So Crow's in the chat, and he can tell you he's done software development, and I know it's not the same thing, but it's kind of the same thing.
yeah,
And we're in gaming industry. How many alpha releases have you had? How many
mhm,
X Defiant recently, Diablo 4, and all they got a stress test. They've got to, and Diablo 4, there was queues and there was this and that. They were trying to, it costs money to do this.
right,
This was the very first early, nobody goes back to all the other early things that they did and the problems they had. Everyone always remembers this one, and this costs money. Yeah, but it's all built in. It's all factored in. What is it? Is it horrible? Would they have liked it to have done? Sure, but they got so much data, and you got to look at it from the future.
right,
How many back in the 60s, how many rockets blew up? How many other things, that NASA did blew up,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
And I
it
like
is it's just part of
what
the
you're
it's part,
saying there, right? Yeah,
part of the
it's trial and error. It's going out and field testing what you're trying to do that you can't simulate without doing it live.
that's right.
I totally can understand that.
Early planes crashed. Early, and we still have planes.
Right.
Boeing does test flights and ship crashes and stuff. You never hear about all that kind of stuff, right? They have
Yep.
they have men and women in the armed forces who are test pilots who risk their lives knowing they may not come back, you
Yep.
know, because they're going to
Yep.
go and test. So yeah, at some point you can do all the simulations all you want, but at some point you got to plug it in. You got to see, okay, where did we miscalculate? Did we put too much fuel, not enough fuel? Was it a wiring
Yeah.
issue? Was it what caused what caused the issue?
Well,
And they got so much. You have no idea the terabytes of data that they got from every nanosecond of flight.
well, and what is it that they're ultimately trying to get to, right? What is the end goal? Is this data being collected to try to get to Mars? Is
Yes,
this
yes,
data,
yes.
to try to get to that new planet that was found? Like, are we trying to get to another surface again? Right. The last
Yes.
time a human has touched anything other than the Earth was the moon, right?
So
So,
Artemis 2, featuring a Canadian, will be going back to the moon. This series of ships will end up at the moon, but the
mhm,
goal is to get to Mars. That
I
is the
think it is
goal.
to
To
get
Mars.
to
Oh
Mars,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
we
may
could
not
talk
get
about the
there.
Mars rover and stuff that has been there, and the samples it's collected, the things that it's seen. But
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
there's still so much more. I mean, I couldn't even fathom what it would take to try to, like, just thinking about moving, right? All
mhm.
you have to do to go like moving house to house. You just went through it. I
Yeah.
went through it a couple of
Yeah.
years ago. Like, it's intense. Could you imagine trying to pick up and set up in a whole nother location, or not even on this planet? Like, how do you get materials there? How do you get equipment there? How do you build? You know, how do you?
Yeah,
Where's the Charmin?
I would rely on Crow Resin because I've seen you guys build in Sons of the Forest. So
we'd hook up the zip line and send logs.
I would be, shout out. He was playing with Bruce last night, and that's what they did. They hook up a zip line so Bruce could chop wood and send it over to Crow as he was building their multi-story domicile. But yeah, that's. But that's the goal. The goal, I don't know if they'll get there in my lifetime. I don't know if I will be alive to see them go to Mars. Because I'm old.
Yeah, that's true.
So Crow read that China has developed a process to make bricks out of moon dust to eventually build structures on the moon. So there you go.
I don't know if we should be building structures on the moon, though. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we should just leave the moon alone.
Well, we've destroyed this planet, so we got to go somewhere. Like what? 20 years, Florida will be gone.
Happy Earth Day! Happy Earth Day! There you go.
Happy Earth Day.
Moving out. Moving out.
Riley's kids will not know Florida. Riley will be going, back in my day, we used to go down to a place called Florida, but it's gone now.
I worry about California before I worry about Florida. Just that. I mean, I always have, just naturally, but just because of the earthquakes, like the fault line there,
fault lines,
you know, like just how does.
But the water's rising, so we know in 20 years Florida's going to be gone. Like that's look at Fort Lauderdale now.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, right?
Fort Lauderdale's under friggin' water.
My team was stranded down there, and it's like one of the hardest things whenever you get flood water and stuff like that is you get a lot of disease that travels through the water, right? There's a lot of bacteria, there's a lot of chemical spill, there's a lot of things that happen. Think about your gas can sitting outside in your shed, and all of a sudden now your land is underwater. What do you think happened to that gas? Not to mention the stuff that is moving inside of the water. Could be creatures, it could be a 2x4 with nails sticking out of each end, right? So they say the main thing to do is to stay out of the floodwaters, because they are very, very contaminated. And then you think about what you have to go back to after it recedes.
Yeah. You put on the news and all you see are idiots in the water.
They do that on purpose, right? They're not going to show the people huddled up 400 miles away. They're going to show everybody that's doing the thing you shouldn't be doing. So that's how they move. That's how they move.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think this is a good thing. He'll be back 2 months. They said 2 months. They'll do it again.
Yeah. Well, and they're working together with NASA, right? I think in one of the things I read, the NASA director was kind of congratulating and complimenting the launch, suggesting as well that this was a good thing. And so, they're scientists. This is what they do. Like, I don't have anything to deal with that.
They don't have the money to do it. So, you guys don't even have the money to pay your debt. You guys may be defaulting on your debt in another month or two.
Oh, I think we just took on like another 100 trillion. Didn't we just give Ukraine like another 500 billion or something? Like,
don't know.
I don't know.
But you may be defaulting on your debt.
Hey man, just keep printing it, right? It doesn't. I mean, who cares? Just get more in circulation so that it means nothing to anybody.
Exactly.
And my thing is what is I don't understand enough about international currencies, but what does the dollar here do there during this time? Like, what does that buy? I guess I just don't. Anyway, not the topic to get into right now, but
topic for another day, folks. Topic for another day. I do question. All right, we got some did you hear about? Let's keep this thing moving along. This is not a video, so sorry that it shows a play button there. But this came to my attention, and I sent this over to Jeff. Jeff watches a lot of football. He watches college football. He watches NFL, XFL, USFL, like Jeff, Arena League football, CFL. Like Jeff loves football, right? And so when you win in football, typically you are given a ring, a championship ring.
But it's getting kind of out of hand now because in college football, there's all these bowl games at the end of the year. So Arkansas Razorback football puts this video up showing off this championship ring that they made for their teams for the bowl game that they were in. But they got a lot of flack and a lot of backlash for it because their team finished 7-6. 7-6, and then won a bowl game that they just barely made. And they went out and they made championship rings for their team. So 2 ways to look at it. Number one is obviously the most ridiculous way is you didn't win shit. And then the other way to look at it is, hey, participation trophies are alive and well. So what are your thoughts about this, Joe?
Well, they did. They won a bowl game. They won. Those players won a bowl game. They can put that on their resume. If they get drafted to the NFL or XFL or USFL, the little graphic, it'll say, won the 2023, Dumbass Bowl. They won a bowl game. They got money. There's money in winning bowl games.
They do.
So there are teams that make the NFL playoffs at 7-9. And Seattle was 7-9 a couple of years ago and won that wild card game and went into the divisional round as a 7-9 team. So as we've talked about, any team, any given Sunday, a team can, you think they're going to get blown away, and then they're like, oh, I can't believe this team lost. Well,
Well, and at the end of the day, it does come back to money, right? And
it does come back to money.
All of these college sport tournaments generate revenue.
They do.
You have the men's March Madness in basketball, right? And it's such a success that they said, whoa, we need to do another one of these. We're going to call it the NIT. If you win the NIT, you're happy you won the NIT, but you didn't make it to the big one, right? No. So does it really mean as much? I guess you got to continue playing and, ultimately the NCAA got to make more money, but that's what this screams to me. This was, more of, hey, we won this like complimentary bowl game. We're champions. And that, I don't know. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know how you commend your team with this. Like, this ring has a ton of diamonds in it. Like it's probably a couple $100 ring, right? $1,000 ring, whatever it is. And you're getting it for having a 7-6 season.
Riley's looking at different colleges to go to college.
She is. Yes.
Right. What is their primary business? What is their primary objective of whatever school she's going to go to make money?
Primary objective for them, is to make money. Their athletic program, for sure.
All programs, programs. That's why they try and bring in the best researchers. They try to bring in the best. I'm not talking now just sports. I'm talking about if there is some brilliant researcher researching some cure to something or inventing something, they bring in the best. Why? To get money from the government and from fundraising. So what is this going to do? They now can go to all their alumni and they can pump their alumni and they can build up. Look at, we won a bowl game. Look at that. We can do better. Donate, other programs.
And then that leads to, like you say, the programs, the grants that they can get, the things that they can apply for because they have this program, because they have that program, or they have this PhD on the staff, right? Like everything leads back around money. So
it all does. So everyone thinks, what's their primary business? It's to make money. Right. That's what the schools want to do. And that's why we're not even talking sports. We're talking, bringing in some of the best researchers, and that's why they try to get people doing this guy's going for his doctorate. Okay, we want him to do his dissertation here because it's going to add that much more credibility to our school.
It's resume building for the school.
Correct. Right. Yep. So it's not, we're sports focused, but you have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And so what they did is it's really all the team, FAU had an amazing run. That's translating into fundraising dollars. That's translating into other students who now may want
exposure.
Mattress Mac did a bunch of NIL deals with them for their families. So it all comes back to the almighty dollar.
I switched us up here along lines of money. I found this tweet. It's kind of hard to read. It didn't copy over as clear as I had hoped, but these are the top 20 best-selling premium games for 23 year to date. I know you said you had an issue with this list. I'm going to read the first couple of these off.
Well, before you read that, read the bottom stuff. That's where I had the problem. Read the asterisks at the bottom. Can you?
Digital sales not included. Xbox and Switch digital sales not included.
Like, there's all sorts of shit not included. There's more not included than what is included. So that's my issue with this list. Okay, so you stuck out a list of something, but you're not including. Like, I'm in the market for a PlayStation right now. So do I buy the digital version? So all I download is digital games. That means none of my purchases will end up on here. Or do I buy the disc version? I don't know. Right? So that's my issue, is not with the games themselves and in the order. It's what's included, and more specifically, what's not included.
Well, I guess I look at this list, and Hogwarts Legacy has obviously been very successful, so it sits at number 1. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 sits there at number 2, but I have a feeling that has more to do with Warzone than it does the actual multiplayer of Call of Duty, just because it has been out for several months now. Resident Evil 4, everybody jumped on that one. MLB The Show sits there at 4th place, and that takes me to your digital comment, because I just have a hard time imagining that so many people are playing MLB The Show on physical disc when Game Pass has 23, day and date launch, and that's where I'm playing it too. So I would feel like that number would be influenced by Game Pass, but that would be digital.
Yeah.
So I'm confused too. Dead Space, Madden, you love to see that. FIFA, I can't believe Madden's over FIFA. Elden Ring, Last of Us Part 1, God of War. Remember, those were launched on a computer here recently.
And see, Madden and FIFA make zero sense because EA gives millions of copies of both games away. And I'm on record as saying, if you've bought Madden, you're a chump, because like there's so many free copies. Like, I get offered free copies of Madden like 10, 20 times. They're like, oh, you can win that. I don't want it. Shove it up your ass. Like, I'm sorry, the game's broken. It's not, and it's definitely not worth the media it's printed on.
Yeah.
Like, so I can't imagine there's that many people rushing out, because if you just look at Twitch, and 4 or 5 years ago, how many streams were on Twitch were playing Madden versus 22 and 23? There are, 1,000 people streaming Madden on Twitch when there used to be 20, 30,000 people streaming Madden on Twitch. Even the big ones don't even do it anymore. I'm talking about your Popular Strangers. He does a little bit of it still, but he does a lot of other content, MLB and whatnot. So Popular Stranger, and there's the other guy. Again, he does a little bit of it at launch and a little bit during the year, but most of the time he's doing other games. So I can't imagine physical copies. Anyone's running to GameStop to buy physical copies when so many people are getting it for free.
I imagine that some of these numbers could be backed up just by like Amazon alone, right? Just through people ordering through Amazon. But I don't know. I don't go to GameStop. I haven't been to GameStop in probably 6 years. I don't know. All right.
Anyway, so that's
this one here, Jeff. This was kind of nasty. There was it says Chicagoland High School wrestler. So there was a wrestling match going on.
Yeah.
The kid here in the I guess tan and orange won. I don't know a lot of context about what led to this, but when they come to shake hands at the end, the wrestler in the blue just cold cocked this kid right in the face. Didn't even shake his hand, just completely knocked him out. So I have learned in the past 48 hours that the kid in the blue has actually been charged with assault now. And I think that's key, that he's actually been charged, because that means that it's actually gone all the way through the process of going through the prosecutor to the court, right? So, that is unfortunate, but ouch.
Well, it's gone.
I'm telling you right now, as a parent, if that was my kid, woo,
it's gone through. It's gone through the investigation, and the prosecutor thinks he has enough evidence to get a conviction. They,
Yes.
they only bring charges when they think they have enough evidence to bring a conviction. If they don't have enough, if they don't think they have a strong enough evidential case, they will then not bring charges. And there's lots of times you're like, the guy wasn't charged. Well, there wasn't just enough evidence. It's either hearsay or whatever. And, there's a lot of good lawyers who can get shit thrown out of court. So the fact that either that or he's bringing it to court to make an example of this kid, saying you do this again, we'll bring you to charges.
It sucks because neither of these kids are ever going to live it down, right? Because the one that threw the punch is always going to be the kid that threw the punch, and then the other one is always going to have sympathy. And this is
both of them, to be honest. This is from Barstool. I think they're like the second biggest sports network out
they're growing.
Internet, I think. Yeah, I think
they are growing.
You keep an eye on those guys. I think they could. I think they're like the second biggest right now.
They dig into a few more of the stories than what ESPN and them will. But I saw this. I thought it was interesting. India is set to surpass China as being the most populated country in the world by mid-year, and they'll surpass China by 3 million more people. So my question to you is this: reading that line right there, they're set to surpass China as the world's most populated nation by mid-year with nearly 3 million more people. Does that mean that right now, currently, in India, there are 3 million more people pregnant than in China? Is that what that means? That's a lot of babies, man. Because you're not just like, you're birthing people. You're not just like finding them. It's not just like, hey, there's 20 people on a ship over here. Let's take them in. And, we just found 1 million ships. Like, no. So crazy, right?
Yeah. Do we have to fact check this? How accurate is the numbers?
Yeah. And this is CNN. This is CNN. That's what's pulled. You can see down at the bottom, source. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. And every time I turn on something that talks about, there's always new countries, and they talk about, was there over 200 countries? Now, when I grew up, there was like 100 countries. And now there's 200. Where the hell all these countries come from? Because the earth hasn't gotten bigger. We're still the same flat earth we always have been. Where are all these new countries coming from? So
you see Purple Haze in there, you start talking like Kyrie, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is how much of an idiot I am. I already thought India was the most populated country in the world. So shows what I know. Hi, Sierra. Oh, I'm glad you guys made it home.
They made it home around 5 a.m. So yeah, shout out to William. Awesome. Shout out to Sierra. For those that don't know, they went to Minnesota.
Long
trip, and then they jumped in the Discord last night because they were pulled over because of a snowstorm. So they were just hunkered down, full tank of gas, a lot of food. They were just hunkering down in a warm car until the storm passed. And so glad you guys made it home. That was an intense drive. Purple Haze, I want you to check, if you haven't already, check your DMs from me, if you wouldn't mind, ma'am. But yeah, glad they're home. So
same. I'm glad that we have the audience that we do right now, because saw this yesterday. You and I are both fans of Google. We've stated that many times in the past, but there's a report that's come out that Mr. Sundar, his stocks have shot up north of 218 million in his latest tax filing. At the same time that Google cut about 6% of its global workforce last year. So both of us understanding how business operates and understanding that ultimately somebody is going to be sitting at the top of things, right?
Yeah.
Do you have an issue with what people will perceive as greed?
Well, it's stock option. It's stocks, so it's not salary, right? Like everyone in business, he has performance goals. And if he meets those performance goals as set out by the board, which would be his boss, if he meets those performance goals, then I have zero issue with whatever he is entitled to get. Now, this is not salary. This is, stock options. This
it's not money in his pocket.
This is not yet. It could sell it.
Right.
Once
Right.
those
But right now,
shares,
numbers
once
on a
those shares,
spreadsheet.
right, numbers on a spreadsheet, but when those shares are vested and he can sell them, then he could sell them and make millions. But it is what it is. He worked hard. He grew up. I think he was one of those Indian guys. I think he was one of those people born in India. Someone fact check me on that. But he grew up with meager beginnings, and he worked hard and got to where he is today. And so he has earned it. He didn't inherit Google from his parents. He isn't one of those. No offense to those people, but he's worked hard. He's got a tough job. He has to make tough decisions, cutting people, building products, shutting products down, talking to the board, talking to the investors. He's got a tough job. So he is.
I think that's until you have those shoes to fill, you don't know what it feels like, right? I think that the perception is always going to be negative. Number one, because it's Google, right? Number two, you hear a lot of other stories about how they've taken amenities away at the offices for employees. There's employees that have had layoffs. They had a walkout protest, I think, in Europe. So there's a lot of negative news. Bard hasn't done as well as Chat GPT or Bing, and things are broken, yada yada yada. So you hear all this negative stuff, and then you see, well, how the hell does this MF make 218 million when all this other stuff is going on, right? So easy to see it from the negative side, but until you walk in those shoes and you have to make those decisions and do those things, you don't understand what comes with that price, right? Like, he's always going to have a price on his head. And I don't mean that in like a lethal way. I just mean that in that he's the face, he's the face of Google right now. That's where everybody's going to point, So
So going back to our previous story, Crow said, just a quick back of the napkin calculation on the India birth rate. There really isn't very many pregnant people when you look at it as a percentage of 1 billion people. 2.9 million pregnancies is approximately 0.203% of 1.4286 billion. So, it looks like a big number, but you put it in comparison, it's not that big. Right.
See, I told you that I gave a nod to PTI earlier because our show is kind of set up like PTI in a sense, where we talk about these topics and stuff. But do you remember when the pardon the interruption guy, I can't think of his name right now. Remember when he used to be their stat fact checker guy?
Wilbon? That other guy.
Yeah, that's his name, Tony.
Yeah, no, Tony Kornheiser is the other host.
Not
it was that other guy they would cut
to. And now he does Pardon the Interruption, right? He's the host of Pardon the Interruption.
Yeah.
Or not Pardon the Interruption, the one where they do the 4 newscasters. And he gives them like fake points.
I forget what that's called.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, that guy, he used to be like the fact checker on the show. So when Crow just busted all that out, was able to give all those numbers, I felt like that. I had a Pardon the Interruption moment.
Fun fact. When Ryzak, before our first episode, we talked about it. I wanted to have that little graphic down the side where we just can't do it with the technology we have, but I wanted to have that little. I wanted to have that little thing that would kind of change. We went PowerPoint, and that's the best we could come up, given the technology that we've got. I am working on something that may actually allow us to achieve that, but that's another story for another day.
Yep.
Purple says, I don't have issues per se. I just don't think he's a solid leader, at least not for the times. And of course, Sierra just wanted to pop in. Good day. They have to return the rental car. Nice rental car, apparently.
They got a lot going on. I'm thankful for the hello.
Pop in.
So thank you, Sierra. And Purple, I again don't disagree with you. I think we've seen it with a few of these things that have happened here recently. You remember when they had that what was it, the Google I/O or whatever, and they were talking about all the new data center stuff and everything that they were working on, the new processor. They had that guy give you a tour and all of that. I wonder if just more focus went into the things that are not seen instead of the consumer side. And that's truly just where the fault is. I think that we could all say that we've seen that, but when you don't really have that friendly customer facing side, how do you expect it to go?
On my stream Thursday night, Purple was there. We were talking about Activision, and she's like, "Are you playing a game based on the Google Cloud?" So the game because I was playing the new Crash Team Rumble. Someone have to fact check that, but it may be actually based all on the Google, their new Google gaming system, right? So, anyways,
we were talking NBA playoffs earlier, and I said I was going to get back to it. Here you go. So Draymond Green was suspended for one game for what appeared to be a stomp on the chest of Domantas Sabonis, who is the star big man for the Kings. A lot of players came out in Draymond's defense and said that he shouldn't have been suspended. It wasn't dirty. People that don't like Draymond are, of course, going to point back to other instances. He punched, his teammate. He has interactions like this all the time, blah, blah, blah. Well, then the next night, Embiid, you can see him on the right there, is laying on the floor and totally just comes right up into the groin of the opposing player and wasn't suspended at all. And so now, there's a lot of controversy around this. Why was it okay for Draymond, but not okay for Embiid? And, of course, his coach is going to come out and defend him here and have some questions about it. One of the things that I've talked about with you at length before is what is the criteria, right? In business, you have processes and you have policies that you can follow so that you can always make the same decisions, right? When it comes to punishment by the sports leagues, it doesn't feel like they play each one by the same criteria. And some I understand you can't, some are more violent than others or whatever, but you have two mirrored instances that happened right here with two different outcomes. So what is the criteria for the suspension? I think that's where they need to start with the explanation.
Yes. Probably. And again, a human is looking at it and making a judgment call, Calvin, going back to the NFL, Calvin Ridley got suspended for a year for whatever little bet he made. Other players have done other things and only got partial suspensions. Every situation is different. I think they also factor in, Draymond, like you said, has done this before. Embiid, maybe not. So I think there's a lot of that goes into place. There was a lot of talk back in the day with Deshaun Watson, and everyone said, "Oh, he should be suspended indefinitely for what he did." And I kept saying, but it's not allowed. It's not the law. It's not in there. It's not in their
not in the player agreement.
It's not in the player agreement. They're like, "Oh, well, that they forget that. You can't. That's not how the law works." And even the judge who gave him 6 games, she only had to give him 1 because that's all that was allowed. That's all she could do. But she said because it was egregious, she gave him 6, and everyone's like, I was like, did you read anything? Or are you just going half-cocked? And they were all just going half-cocked, think he should have made it, right? But that's not how the law works. And they're tied to CBAs. They're tied to things that have been agreed to, which people don't always remember, right? So again, I haven't read all of the. I know the NBA, the NFL stuff inside out, but I've never read the NBA one, right? So maybe they do look at past. Maybe there's a number of things we just don't know about, right? So, I'm not in that room. So
I'm not a Draymond fan. I'm not. I don't like his antics. I don't like his mouth. I don't like the dirtiness of his style of play. So I'm not a big Draymond Green fan, but I do feel in this case he has a fair enough argument because as you can see in that picture, Sabonis has both arms wrapped around his foot and ankle. He's on his tiptoes, body weight moving forward. I mean, he's about to fall, and this could have possibly injured him. If his foot, when Sabonis lets go or when he slips through, doesn't land on his chest, does Sabonis get suspended for the trip? So I guess look, again, I'm paid to analyze things like this, accidents and injuries. So I look at this a little bit different. I think both Sabonis and I don't know the player on the right that's standing over. I think that they both inherit some of this as well because, look, I've been on both ends of what you see on that page right there. And if I've got a grown-ass man standing over me, flexing down on me, acting like he owns me, I'm going to react. I'm sorry. So your actions carry, a lot of this as well. I think it goes both ways. So
you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong.
Hot topic, I guess. Yeah. Max Scherzer, Mets ace. We talked about him. Go ahead.
Purple says fair. Not sure, but there is context. Ever since Steph threw his mouthpiece out and wasn't suspended, I figured he and Draymond just even out. So,
it's true. True. Hit that little boy in the face. Exchange of bodily fluids is probably a suspension offense.
Speaking of suspensions, we're in the suspension part of the show now, folks.
Yeah, there you go. So Max Scherzer, we talked about him when we were talking about the pitch clock because he's real savvy veteran, right? He figured out a way to use the pitch clock. Well, I guess he tried to be a little too savvy. Had a artificial substance on his hat, I believe. He has been suspended for 10 games. Of course, it is under appeal. No, it was under appeal, and then he dropped his appeal. That's what it was. He's just going to go ahead and take the suspension. But I don't believe this is the first time that something like this has happened with him, if I'm not mistaken. So kind of sucks to see that there's just constantly cheating in baseball. And it's one of the reasons why I don't pay attention to it as much anymore, because it's all fluff.
Yeah, there's cheating in every sport. Everyone's always looking for that advantage, whether you're deflating footballs or inflating footballs, or put a little something, or the pine tar on the bat was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It seems to pop up in baseball a lot. I think that
I'm just going to leave that there, but I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm just going to hide it. Yeah.
I think that the WWE is probably the smartest ones. They came out and said, you know what? We're just entertainment. We're entertainment. We're entertainment. This is what we do. We're entertainment. And I don't think the rest of the sports have faced that.
No, maybe not.
All right. This happened yesterday. Victor Wembanyama. I practiced this. Damn it. He is the number one prospect in basketball in the world. He is 19 years old. He stands at 7'5". He has an 8-foot wingspan. He can shoot the three-pointer. He can handle the ball. He serves as the ball handler on his team. He's currently averaging something ridiculous like 22 points per game, 9.9 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists a game. He's like the leading MVP candidate in the top French professional league, 19 years old. He's the most decorated and highly touted prospect to come into the NBA since LeBron James almost 20 years ago. He is Victor Wembanyama. There you go. And if you don't know who he is, you're going to know who he is because he is a freak. He is a freak.
I just want to say that Toronto is a very lovely city, and we are bilingual, and we have a lot of French culture. So just want to say, welcome to Toronto.
I think Detroit is really hoping they get that number one pick next year. So we'll see. But he announced yesterday he is absolutely going to make himself eligible for the draft. So there's your number one pick. It's not even close. There you go, Victor Wembanyama. And then tonight, Jeff, this is the last thing I've got until we get to 5 Ys. There's a big fight tonight. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia. If you don't know either of these guys, I don't blame you. But if you do, you probably know the bottom one a little bit more than you do the top one because he is a social media sensation, has been ever since he was 6 years old when he was popping up on, oh gosh, what was that old Vine? I think he was on Vine doing some of his boxing stuff back in the day. But he's got very quick hands. He has an intense training regimen. His name is Ryan Garcia, and he is promoted by former champion Oscar De La Hoya. Davis is in the TMT corner, so he is with Mayweather's camp.
Yeah,
right?
Mayweather's camp. Yeah.
Going to be there's been a lot of trash talking amongst these guys for the better part of 2 weeks, so should be an interesting fight. Jeff, who do you got?
I'm going Davis. It's on it's on the Zone pay-per-view. Shout out to the Zone Canada. So I will I'm not sure if it'll be on late. I'm not sure if I'll still be awake. Maybe resting before Ray's Wreckfest stream. I may fire it up.
Nice. Well, if you don't know how to find it on pay-per-view, I'm sure you can find somebody's TikTok that's turned sideways.
I would never do that. I would never watch an event illegally.
Never. No one does.
No, I would never do that.
All right, Yeffy, it is time for your 5 guesses. And today I'm giving you an option. This is a first, okay? Yes. I'm going to tell you 2 things. Well, first off, I'm going to give you an option on which list you want to take on, but I'm also going to tell you where it came from. I'm going to give you a little context because they are difficult. Okay. Oh, great. So first, you could either choose the top 10 video games that people are looking to get next, or you could tell me the top 10 advertising spending on TV, and both of these lists are brought to you by Nielsen TV ratings. So which one do you choose, Jeff?
Let's go TV.
Let's go to advertising spends on TV.
Yeah.
All right. So I am looking for the top 10 companies that have advertised in the spending year from December to current Q2. I
want to say Procter and Gamble.
Wow, Jeff, that's number 1. Look at you.
Ooh. Yep.
You gotta make you bigger. You gotta make you bigger here. There you go.
There you go.
All right. So Procter and Gamble Company, consumer packaged goods.
Yeah.
They sat at number 1.
Yeah. I want to say Johnson and Johnson, a family company.
Johnson and Johnson is not on the list.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Woody Johnson is not on the list.
Woody Johnson not on the list. All right.
It's because he's trying to spend all that money to get Aaron Rodgers. Not bringing in as much.
I want to say Pfizer.
That's a good guess. They're not in the top 10.
Because they got a number of those drugs. The one that starts with the V is the biggest. Obviously, they've also there's got to be. Let me read this to you. There's got to be a drug company in the top 10. I don't know all of the U.S. drug companies, but there's got to be a drug company because of all those ads that you see.
There is not.
Interesting. I would have thought because even watching.
So it says right here: learn which companies are leading the pack in advertising spending each month on TV. So think more of the consumer side.
Yeah, I was, and that's why you always see Broca or whatever the hell that drug is.
Yeah.
Cialis and all these drugs with side effects and stuff. So I thought there would have been a drug company, if not Pfizer. I thought there would have been. Yep. It's got to be there's gonna be at least one car company. Which one I don't know. Could be Ford. It could be Toyota. It could be, but I'm going to say car company because I don't.
You're right, and that's General Motors, and they sit at number 5.
Yeah, there you go.
And they're the only one.
Okay, all right. Yeah, forgot about General Motors. I kept thinking.
But you got to have something to drive a car.
So I was going to get
the law here.
Not in California. I was going to say an oil company. Again, I know Irving Oil up here. I don't know all the oil companies in the U.S. But I was going to say an oil company.
So not an oil company, Jeff, but an insurance company. I'm going to give you that hint. Can you guess an insurance company? What's the one that you always see advertised when you're watching the Super Bowl? Can you think of it?
Allstate?
Cute gal. No, cute gal. No. And she wears white like a doctor.
Don't forget, we don't get the American commercials.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget, we don't.
Do you know Progressive?
Her. Yeah, I would not have guessed that. I wouldn't have guessed that. I was thinking
they came in at number 8.
What's the guy with the accidents where they're always doing the accidents?
Yeah. State Farm or
no, it's not State Farm.
Nationwide.
No, what's the one where they got the
Allstate?
No, that's what the dude.
That's the guy from Major League.
They always have like an accident repair, and they're like,
it's Allstate.
Is that Allstate?
I think it's Allstate.
I didn't think it was.
Because he goes, his character is Mayhem. So it's like save yourself from mayhem like me, and he's always doing something crazy.
No, it's got that. It's got that older bald guy that does all the.
That's State Farm.
Is that State Farm?
It is. It's State Farm. Yeah.
And there's
I know who you're talking about.
Affleck with the duck.
Affleck.
Yeah.
All right, come on. You got. You probably got like two more guesses.
I was going to say. A candy company of some sort, whether it's Mars. I'm going to say Mars, a candy company, Mars or Nestle or Nestle or one of those big. And again, I don't know. I haven't paid attention to whom owns whom anymore. But some sort of candy confectionery.
Who do you order shit from all the time, Jeff?
Oh, Amazon.
Amazon was number 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Do I see a lot of Amazon commercials? See, I don't watch a lot of. I don't watch any TV anymore. I don't watch any TV.
I'll give you one more clue, because I think that you probably could have gotten this one if you took a little longer. But the biggest sports entertainment company on the planet is owned by.
Oh, Disney.
I
had to think. I got to keep thinking U.S. because I'm going. I was trying to think. It's owned by Rogers, and I got a Canadian focus, right? So
here's the top 10. I'm going to give you the company, and then I'm going to tell you the dollars they spent and how many impressions that got them. Okay. So Procter & Gamble was number 1. You nailed that. 164.1 million spent, 35.6 billion impressions. Okay. Mm-hmm. Amazon was number 2, 100.4 million spent, 8.6 billion impressions. So that's a huge jump from number 1 to number 2, right? That just tells you how many products Procter & Gamble has.
Yeah.
Verizon Communications was number 3, 94.9 million. They had 5.5 billion impressions.
I would have said phone company, but I wouldn't have known which one. I wouldn't have got
Berkshire Hathaway.
Really?
They do own
because they own Coca-Cola.
Well, that's crazy because Coca-Cola is number 10 on this list, but I'll get to that. Berkshire Hathaway, 82.7 million, 6.5 billion impressions. General Motors, number 5, 79.1 million, 3.2 billion impressions. Comcast Corporation, number 6, 78.4 million, 5.9 billion. Walt Disney was number 7 at 75.1 million, 7.5 billion impressions. Progressive was number 8, 72.2 million, 5.6 billion impressions. Number 9, National Amusements Incorporated.
Okay.
National Amusements Incorporated. So that is your amusement parks, and if I'm not mistaken, they own Carnival.
Is that Six Flags? Do they own Six Flags?
It should be Six Flags, but if I'm not mistaken, don't they own either Carnival or one of the other cruise ship lines too?
I don't know.
I think they do. 70 million, 6.3 billion impressions. And then Coca-Cola rounds out the top 10. $69 million spent, 5 billion impressions gained. So there is your top 10 list for this week, Jeff.
I would have thought there would have been a fast food company in there, like your McDonald's or something, or whoever owns McDonald's.
You did good, man. I would not have done. I was looking at that list, and the reason I chose it is because I probably would not have guessed any of those. So I know that you have done a lot of marketing stuff. So I was like there, but then I saw the other one, the top games wanted. So
I haven't been paying attention. I haven't been paying attention to what new games are coming out, just because there's I get emails and I get approached all the time about, we got this new game coming out. PR companies will email me and Jeff, hey, we got this new game. You've played this other one. It's very similar. Would you like to? So I get a lot of emails, and I got a lot of stuff, a lot of indie games and a lot of other stuff. Activision reached out and they wanted me to play. Shout out to my friends at Activision for playing because they know what they see. Obviously, they see my Crash content. I don't know how they reached out and they said, we'd like you to do this. I'm like, all right. Here's my contract. There's my deal.
Well, what do you've got coming up this week? I got to bounce here in a minute to get to hockey. What do you got coming up
tomorrow? Retro Rewind is back. Retro Rewind. We have a cool guest. We have Mr. David, aka Codex Gaming. He is going to be doing some retro hour on I think Sundays.
That's
Sundays,
awesome. Always fun
Sundays
to
when
see
I'm
people
asleep.
getting into retro games and
Yeah.
doing retro content.
So I said, hey, do you want to come on Retro Rewind? So yeah. So yeah,
Fantastic.
retro rewind, and then Monday night I'll be back doing some community play of Red Dead. Few people have bought it. Hopefully Bruce will join us again. Dude, I got to get
Nice.
Dude Games in there. He just bought it. He's been playing. Squids has been playing it. So a lot of people last month or so have been buying and jumping in Red Dead. And then I'm not
Awesome.
sure what I'm doing Wednesday yet. And then I'm going to be back to Retro Friday night. And then next Saturday, we're going to see what's going to happen next Saturday. I may be here with a guest host. I have somebody in mind. I am going to
Quite
ask
possibly.
if they'd like to sub in for you.
Unfortunately, there's going to be a couple of occasions where scheduling's just not going to permit, and we're going to talk about other times that we could do, but also might not work out. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to do everything we can to continue this along because it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you're enjoying Jeff and I's little chats here. So.
And I hadn't really thought of it until you said it to me last night in our pre-production meeting, and then again today. It's kind of a PTI vibe. A lot of shows have that. I am working.
Yeah.
I
So
am
you
working
just keep clicking it on.
Something down the side. I am working on something, but it involves me learning a whole new software in order to do it.
Do it.
Do it. I do. I've installed it. It's a whole new software I've got to learn. And I've watched some videos and I'm like, oh my God, I'm too old to learn this. So
no, don't, because I told you last night, I am going to be taking my drone pilot's license here sometime by the end of the year. I'm going to do it by the end of the year. I'm having so much fun flying my drone that I just want to keep doing it. It's like a video game in my hand, but it's real time. It's so much fun, man.
That was on my plan for last year. But then we ended up moving, and that just consumed the entire year, and rebuilding the man cave and moving and having to learn how to deal with the pool and everything else. So
I want to you have one for roof inspections. I'm trying to do it number one so I can help my workout with building inspections, hazard assessments. But I also want to do some video stuff. So I've told you in the past I do the announcements for my daughter's soccer team and for my son's lacrosse team. And I want to take it another level, and I want to actually make them like an intro video. And their school, their mascot is the Hawks. And there's actually hawks that fly around the field when the games are being played. And so whenever they score a goal, either in lacrosse or in soccer, I have like a hawk screech that I play. I have it, hotkeyed on my computer. So I hit the key and it's like, and you see like the hawks fly around. It's like their mating call or something. You can hear it. So I want to do like an intro video for them and take my drone and have it starting out above the trees and then kind of like swoop down on the field behind them while somebody's dribbling the ball down and like taking a shot, and then have it like fly up and around and like have the screech in there or something. I don't know. I just think it would be fun to try. I think it'd be cool to do, but I am obsessed with my drone right now. So if I can get some more time to fly it, I will.
You could, I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Canada, you can become a building inspector and have I could become a building inspector and you can know zero about anything. No offense to Rudiggs, because he's an architect by training. So understand that. And I'm not referring to him. I'm just referring to all the other idiots that are home inspectors. Because the guy who, side hustle, because the guy who did, when we inspected our house, he says, you really should vent your ventless microwave. And we're like, but it's a ventless microwave. It doesn't need to be vented. He goes, oh, I know what ventless microwaves are, but you should vent it. But it's ventless. Like that's like saying
you don't change the design of something.
You should plug your fridge in because it's like it's in the name. Oh, but but I'm going to put down there. And so, of course, new first-time bowl bars like, oh, it says it should be vented. You should vent the microwave. It's a ventless microwave. What are you people idiots? Like, are you literally an idiot?
I've thought about trying to get my home inspector's license in the past. If I get my drone inspector's license, maybe, or my drone pilot's license, maybe I can get my home inspector license too and do some stuff on the side. But there may be opportunities for me in my day-to-day work to use that skill and actually travel around and do inspections and things like Rue was saying. So could be cool. I'm excited either way. So we'll see.
I guess after walking around the house for 2 hours and not finding a damn thing, he had to find something. And so his report all talked about the ventless microwave. And he kept calling it a ventless microwave in his report. And it's like, are you a dumbass?
The convenience that my drone has given me to inspect what the work that I just had done at my house is priceless, man, because I'm terrified of heights. I don't do heights.
And chasing the bees.
Yes, and chasing the bees. I was chasing the bees away. Nope, not this one. Not this one.
You haven't crashed it yet?
No, my new one? Hell no. No. I upgraded big time this time, Jeff. It's got like sensors on it. It like beeps at me when it gets close to things. Like it slows itself down. It's legit. Like I'm in love with this thing.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I apologize. I'm going to kind of rush us out here, but I'm rambling and I need to leave my house in 5 minutes.
We've been 95 minutes. We've gone 35 minutes overboard. So
it's just fun.
Thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned for who's going to be here next week, or if we even do a show, or if we do it later in the day. Who knows?
Maybe it'll happen.
See you next week. Oh, shit.
Bye. See ya.